Welcome to Actual Scale Modelling. This is part 3 of Gallery Models VH-34D Marine 1. Scale is 1 to 48. In this part, I'm going to be concentrating on the cockpit. So I'm going to be building the seats and everything that goes along with it, the control panel and so on. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. To start off with, everything's getting the main colour of Mr. Hobby 57 Aircraft Grey. There's only a couple of bulkheads to paint in this colour initially. If you remember from part 2, I previously painted most things on the sprue before going on to this stage. So it's on to the construction. seat itself is Mr. Hobby H12 matte black, and the frame is Mr. Hobby 405 flat olive green. The seat gets placed into its own little housing before connecting to the back of the seat itself. There's a little location point at the back of the seat that connects into the main structure. I actually missed this the first time around. I didn't realise there was a location point there, but just at the joining it fits in so that you can be sure of the positioning. It's time to do the seatbelts. So I've zoomed right in here so you can see it. So the clarity is not brilliant on the video, but these are incredibly small parts, so it's difficult for the camera to pick it up. So I've zoomed back out again because the image just really wasn't watchable, I don't think. So I'm using white PVA glue to attach the photo etch parts. I find this better than super glue or a CA glue. This is because it gives you a lot more time to manoeuvre the parts in position into your desired location. The downside, of course, is it takes a lot longer to dry, but as I said, I think it's superior to using super glue and photo etch parts. So the first set's going on now. The positioning is strange. Well, there's not strange. You may have to bend the photo etch into positioning. I sort of bent mine up slightly to follow the contours of the seat itself, and once I had that in place, then I just folded down the overhang down the side of the seat. Next to go on with the two main straps, and again there's a little bit of bending involved with it, but I simply put them on, then pushed them down to conform to the seat, just like the first set that I put on. Now, of course, you can use a bending tool for this if you wish. In fact, I'll be using my bending tool later on, but it's not really necessary for this part. It's better just to push them into the shape of your actual seat. So I've done one, doing the second one now, and I've came out a little bit just so that you may be able to see a little bit better what I'm doing here. So this is the part that goes over the lap and through the legs. So I'm just bending that now with my tweezers, just trying a different method, but I'm showing you a different method, the way to bend it. But it doesn't really matter what way you decide to shape these photo etch parts. Do whatever you feel comfortable with. There's various tools out there to help you, but as I said, with seats, it's better just to push them in and get the desired location. If you're using PVA glue like I am here, make sure it's a bit thin. That way it shouldn't, when it dries, it'll dry clear, and it shouldn't destroy any paintwork that you've already done. The other option, of course, is to apply the PVA directly to the photo etch part before placing it on. You use minimum amount, but it will still, when you push it, it'll still splay out a little bit, so just be aware of that. I'll try to do this closer to the camera without zooming in, so you can just see where I'm placing them. But it's fairly self-explanatory if you've never done photo etch parts before. Personally, I hate photo etch parts, but I will use them if they are included in the kit. And that's the last part going in now, so it's much the same as the other one really, just different ways of doing it. Next are the foot pedals, and again this is photo etch part in place on here. Now these parts are very, very small. There's no way the camera's going to be picking these up. But they rest on a little bar that's going to be going underneath the, well, not underneath, the back of the instrument panel, but they're absolutely minuscule. I can just about make it on my finger here. Now, I'm not sure whether they're meant to be bent or not into an angle, but they're so small I didn't worry about that. I just put a tiny amount of PVA glue on, then attached them. So I'll just bring up to the camera a little bit, and you maybe will just about make them out. There's only two to fit, thankfully. The next set of photo etch does have to be bent at a right angle, so I'm using my bending tool for this. So once I place it in the jig and tighten everything up, it's quite simple to bend, and this is what the tool is designed for, to bend right angles and different angles. As you can see, there's different areas and sizes where I can utilise to bend these parts. But once they're in, I just use this little plastic tool to lift up the photo etch. If I can't lift them up, it's too tight in, I'll just use the edge of my knife to start it off, then simply bend up to a 90-degree angle, and I'll be doing it on both sides. And I have two of these to make up like this. Now this is a very small part, but as you can see up to the camera, the next part I have to arch this in such a way it's going to create a sort of like a dome, like a hanger effect. Now, there's various ways you can do this, but I find it simpler just to get a curved metal bar. Or I'm using a paint straw here, and then just using my pliers to squeeze it into positioning, and it will curve around the metal bar, and you'll get your desired arch. Of course, you can use a paintbrush if it's thicker. It depends what diameter you need, of course. The photo etch is now dried on the foot bar plate thing, and that gets attached. I'm just using normal cement here to attach it to the reverse side of the instrument panel. Now got all the components ready to assemble. There's this raised area here, and there seems to be a hose, so I'm painting an H12 matte black by Mr. Hobby. I'm not sure what this detailing is, but it looks like some line feed. And for the middle section, I'm using Mr. Hobby 405 flat olive green. Again, just to give a contrast, no idea whether it's meant to be these colours or not. I'm using Mr. Hobby H3 gloss red here to paint some of the switches on the control panels, and I'll be using various colours. So this one's Mr. Hobby H4 gloss yellow, and then it's over to Tamiya X14 sky blue. Now the reason why I'm using Tamiya, not Mr. Hobby, is because it was simply mixed up in my paint drawer. I didn't realise that was a Tamiya paint, but it doesn't matter. I chose it because I like the shade. And then it's back to Mr. Hobby H1 gloss white for the rest of the switches. Now these are not necessarily the right colours to do these switches and things like that, but I always like to do them in various colours just so they stand out when you're looking at the model. If you're going for the 100% look, you will have to look into it and see what switches do what and what colour they should be, but this is just my personal preference. So now I can move on to the assembly. So first of all, it's the central column on where the bulkhead meets the seats, and each one has a defined location, like all the parts so far on this kit, which is quite nice to see. Then it's onto the two photo etch parts, which I had to curve around my paint stirrer. Again, these are going to be attached with using some white glue. They're difficult to handle and pick up because they're so small, but it is worth doing. As you can see, they keep on falling off my tweezers, but I get there eventually. In the end, I decided to put the white glue on the actual part just so it was easier to handle. I was then able to put them in position. Now I haven't painted these parts yet, only put the undercoat on. The reason for this was I knew I was going to be handling these quite a lot, bending them and so on, so there was no point in painting them because I would just scratch off the paint. And I painted these with Mr. Hobby 405 flat olive green. Again, not sure if that's the colour. I suspect it's meant to be black, but just to give it a contrast. It's onto the control stick, the 7 aircraft grey, and the top of it is Mr. Hobby 12 matte black. These just fit in. There's two little location points as you would expect for these to sit into. The next central column has a backing plate to be fitted onto it. That just simply sits in there. There's a little border for it to sit in. And then once that was on, I was able to fit it. Now, I should say here, I had a problem with this particular part. It goes in a specific angle, and I thought I got the angle right, but when I tried to put everything together, it didn't quite work. But I will get into that. But first of all, I'm placing in the instrument panel, and then going on to the back bulkhead with the central column going in. And then I can fit the seats. Now the seats is only 4 small location points right at the base of the seat for it to go on. And the back of the seat should follow the contour of the bulkhead. Now this central column, I couldn't get it to fit. I put it in position, and when I married up the back bulkhead to fit onto the forward facing bulkhead, I just couldn't get it to fit. I couldn't get it at the right angle, and I wasn't sure how much this angle should be, and how the problem is a lot of this part is actually underneath, so there wasn't a great guideline to show you how much it should be there. So what I done was I connected it to the back bulkhead first, and because there's only one way that can go, and then I married it up to the foot plate. Now the thing is, there's actually a gap between the seat and the foot plate. That's meant to be there, but it can be a little bit confusing. What I did find helpful was though adding in the side panels now before marrying the two main halves up. That gave me a guide to get everything into position. I was then able to place the bulkhead onto the footplate. So it was assembled. I applied a wash and using Humbrol dark grey wash here. Now I often don't use washes. Again, it's just my personal choice. I know a lot of people like doing them, but as I said in a previous video, I wanted to dampen down some of the silver on the seatbelt because I thought it was too bright, so a wash is ideal for that. And as I'm doing this, this is where I'll end part 3. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, and please do so. Make sure you hit the notification bell, that way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching, bye bye.